So, as I was saying, my show is simple. It's a show that allows me to express myself, express ideas and thoughts that's going around in the world. This is a talk show. Again, to bring you up to speed, this is a talk show about multiple things: politics, religion, you name it, education, current events. It doesn't matter. If it's worth talking about, then I'm going to talk about it. The media, how the media is kind of like they're really a joke. So let's hold on for a few seconds, and we're going to start the live feed in the Tampa Bay area. We're going to start a live feed in the Tampa Bay area, so that ready? Oh, this is the B-roll. The show is about to start. Okay, this is the B-roll. This is the stuff before and after the show. Okay, and the show is going live. Here we go. Oh man, just then. So now we're live. We're live broadcast in the Tampa Bay area. Yes, this is a live. Again, I told you, right, to give you that it was the B-roll. Just a few minutes ago, I was talking to the cameras, I was talking to the audience in my IG as well as my YouTube channel to let them know that this is going to be a live stream on television networks, right, in the Tampa Bay area. And it is. And that's where we're at right now. And some of the subjects we're going to talk about are, let's get to it. Where are we at here? Work in progress. Again, Social Security. Yes, I told you. The African American curriculum, Florida State new African American curriculum, a Ruse, and I'll tell you why it's a Ruse. Biden versus DeSantis nomics. Why? That's something that should be, it should be talked about, right? Especially when you're talking about somebody who's talking about wants to become the leader of the most powerful nation in the free world, right? Quote, put those quotes there, right? So you have to talk about that. I mean, no sugarcoating. And so let's get down with it. Social Security. Is that what we should start off with? Or should we start off with the Florida African American curriculum? Yes. And the reason why I said this is because, quite simply, I perused it. That's when you look at something, you read it in depthly, and I perused maybe say about 95% of it. 95% of the whole curriculum, just the whole curriculum. Not of all the subject matters and stuff that's intel, but the frame, the main frame, the glossary of it. And it looks really good. It looks really good. But then I hear there's this one poison pill in there. And the one poison pill is that in there, I haven't found it yet, but I have been looking for it. In there is a statement about how, you're supposed to teach how some people benefited from slavery. Huh? What are you talking about? Yes, no, they were taught skills and trades. And that was like, whoa, mind-blowing, right? It's like, what are you talking about? They're talking about some people who were trained to be blacksmiths and do this and do that, specific trades, that the master didn't want to do. So he trained somebody else to do it. How they get paid? What's the question? How they get paid? That's the question. They were slaves, so they didn't get paid, right? So is that really teaching them? Is that something that's good? But that's the poison pill in the whole thing. That's a poison pill. They teach us about a lot of different things. And I forget who the gentleman who put it together, compiled it, who the main source, historian that put it together, but it was African American, right? Intelligent man, very intelligent. To compile something like this, yeah, that was a high level. That was a high level of intelligence, right, and knowledge. And that's the curriculum, as opposed to the BS that went along with it, the poison pill, which is that, slavery, some people benefited from slavery. Okay, not true, not true, not true. They did it or they faced the lash. What's that about? You see what I'm saying? That's the poison pill. Good curriculum, but the ruse, and I keep saying it's a ruse, to take you away from the other things in Florida, the other things, the corruption that goes along with the high, the super high homeowners insurance, the inflation in areas of Florida that's ridiculous. While the rest of the nation is down at 3%, averaging 3%, in Florida, like in the Tampa Bay area, is at 7.5%. Other places down in Miami, areas around there is 9 and 10%. Boom. Nation 3%, Tampa Bay area 7.5%. That's 2.5 times the national average of inflation. In Miami, areas of Miami, 9.5%, 10%. Wow. That's what, 4 times? That's 3 times the national average? That's 3 times the national average. 2.5 times in Tampa, and 3 times that of the national average. That's crazy, is it not? You tell me that's not crazy. You got insurance companies, Citizens Insurance. I think they only cover like 750,000 people, but yet they have over 2 million customers. No, it's not 2 million. They have over 1.25 million customers, but they only cover 700. They only gonna cover 770,000. I mean, when you read this stuff, it's mind-blowing. When I read this stuff, it's mind-blowing. Again, the African-American curriculum, it looked really good. It looked really good. I don't think it was much different from what it was before. They say they took out critical race theory. Again, it's a ruse, because I've already explained this a few shows ago. Critical race theory, CRT, the boogeyman, the boogie curriculum, the poison pill, was never taught on the elementary level, never taught on the middle school, high school, associate college level, bachelor's college level, or master's degree college level. No. The critical race theory that they speak of is taught on a PhD level, and it's not even a mandatory course. It is an elective, and that's something that people try to use as a what do you call it? As a detractor to distract you from the reality of what's really going on in education, the educational system here. I want you to think about that. The same people who are doing this right here in Florida, who's taking away your freedoms, and I said this again, taking away your freedoms for free thought. The same people who promote animosity and hatred as a divisive tool amongst the citizens here, the same people talking about advancing to the White House. Some people saying, oh, no. No, that's a good thing. No, it was a good thing because nobody put this out there. If you knew what was going on, would you really support them? Well, that's where the local media failed their constituents. They failed their audience. They failed their viewership because they do not make this stuff available. You hear it all the time. You hear it all the time. Critical race theory, wokeness. We don't want wokeness in the classroom. We don't want wokeness. Hold up. You don't want educational growth in the classrooms? They eliminated mathematics, some mathematics courses down here because they said it supported CRT, critical race theory, again. Hold up, what? What? Because they couldn't use wokeness for mathematics, because mathematics is supposed to energize your mind. It's supposed to get you thinking. It's supposed to have you focusing on growth. The African American program, right, that they took away was because it was supposed to be inundated with critical race theory. And it was too awokeness. And you ask people, what's wokeness? I've been asking this for years, since I've heard them talk about wokeness, right? I've been asking, what's wokeness? Tell me what wokeness is. Nobody who got a problem with it can explain it. Well, wokeness is this, wokeness is that, wokeness. No. Wokeness not this, not that. Wokeness means to become aware. If it wasn't for wokeness, we wouldn't have a country. You're aware of that, right? If it wasn't for wokeness, we wouldn't have a country. We'd still be under British rule. This is not hyperbole. This is a reality. Because it was wokeness. It was that social issue that people gathered around, and it brought about, what was that war? The War of Independence? 1776 Constitution eliminated a lot of that stuff. Because of us, the War of Independence took place because of wokeness. An end to slavery took place because of wokeness. Women's rights, suffrage, brought to the forefront because of wokeness. The African American curriculum, history, the growth is because of wokeness. The abolishment of enslavement of individuals because of their race, creed, or color came to an end because of wokeness. And this is what their problem is. Who? The conservatives. These elitist conservatives who keep throwing this at you. Again, the African American curriculum down here, that's a ruse. That's just a deceptive trick to deflect and keep your mind off of what's really the problem. And that is these elitist conservatives who have hijacked the Republican Party. These elitist conservatives call themselves MAGAs. They are not Republicans. They are rhinos. They are the real rhinos. They are Republicans in name only. They'll bring up, how Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Think about that. Think about that. These same individuals, if these same individuals was in charge, you know what? The Southern Democratic conservatives would still be in power. It was wokeness. It was wokeness that changed all this stuff up. The African American experience, slavery, the whole 9 yards. People tell you about one thing or another, but the reality is that it's simple. A lot of these great inventions that nowadays, it came from wokeness. It came from African Americans. A lot of these inventions that are out here now that we're living with today, African American, for children of former slaves and former slaves. When you look at certain things, even when you hear about the great creators, whether they're white or what, in this country, think about it. That came about because of wokeness. For somebody to say they have something against wokeness, then they're saying they have something against our nation living up to the Constitution, which is to make a better country, right? That's wokeness. Social issues, wokeness, they call it wokeness, social issues. Human rights, voting rights, women equality. That's wokeness. That's due to wokeness. And the super elite, women should be in barefoot and pregnant, or at least there to serve me as a man. Darling, that's what wokeness. They're the ones who have a problem. These rhinos, Republicans in name only. Because think about it. The Republicans have been were moderate for a long time. Yeah, they had conservatism in there. And every time conservatives hijacked the Republican Party, oh my gosh, the country suffered. The country suffered. Look at how far back we want to go? The Great Depression. The Great Depression. That was when the conservatives hijacked the Republican Party. Was it Grover Cleveland? And those guys, yeah, they ushered in the Great Depression. Yeah, that was conservatives after they hijacked the Republican Party. Who was it? Theodore Roosevelt? Walk softly but carry a big stick? Yeah. There was supposed to be there was a president, William Taft, right? He ran against William Taft in another party as a third party. So you see when a third party candidate nowadays, right? A third party candidate nowadays come up and they're promoting them, that's to take away from whoever they don't want running. The elitist conservatives, that's what they do. This goes back to Theodore Roosevelt. I believe, yeah, Theodore Roosevelt. When Taft had become president of the nation, he ran against him as a third party candidate. So third party system is not new. See, this is American history. And in that, believe it or not, in that party, the Republican Party, especially the Southern Republicans, were African American. Do they teach you about that? That the core of the Republican Party was African American? No, they don't teach you that, right? But that's in African American history. That's a fact. And I mentioned this before. The first African American United States sitting senator came from the state of Texas. They don't tell you about that, do you? You know what? I'm gonna peruse this again and see if I see that information in here. That there were, I believe it was 6 or 12 congressional members from Texas that was elected. These are the first ones from Texas that was elected to Congress. Oh, when I say senator, I mean congressional senator. The first African-American senator came from Texas. In the United States Senate, not the state Senate, but the United States Senate. Like Barack Obama used to be, all right? Yeah, I want to see if that's in here, because even though it happened in Texas, it is still part of African American history. The 6 to 12 congressmen, I forget the exact number. You know what happened to them? That was elected from Texas? They were all killed. They were literally killed, murdered. That's African American history. This is during the Reconstruction period. There was a lot of things happening, especially in the African American time period. When they started telling you stuff like that, like there was a race riots, I don't get it. What do you mean by race riots? Race riots when you get people and they start to bubble up and you boom, 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 2 people going at it, right? That's the crux of a race riot, right? This wasn't a race riot. These wasn't race riots. These were honest American, African American, who in large went to vote here in Florida. Was it Aussie? And they started killing them, beating them. Some say as low as 30 to 60 individuals, African Americans, were killed. Women and children were beaten the whole 9 yards. And this is what they try to sugarcoat. See, that's about pretty much my only problem when they start talking race riot. That wasn't a race riot, those are massacres. Here, Redwood massacres. Throughout this nation, massacres. Look it up. There are townships that they literally flooded out. It's like, what? This doesn't make any sense. This is African American history. Floridian African American history. Oh yeah, it happened all out throughout the nation. Don't get me wrong. You heard about the out there in the Midwest. You heard about that. You heard about North Carolina. Juneteenth. You heard about all that, right? But that happened right here. But let me tell you else something that happened here of African American history that they don't put in here, right? You ever hear the term gator bait? What's that? The state of Florida, the Florida Gators. What is that? Florida Gators is that Florida State or Florida State University? I think it's Florida State. The Gators, right? They don't use that term anymore. It's been banned. It's been banned by the school to use that term, gator bait. You know why? And I just saw an episode the other day. It was a YouTube episode, and they were talking about it. And I'm like, okay, cool, all right. And you see one of the first things they show is a young, athletic, look like a linebacker, a defensive man from the school, and he goes like this. He goes, listen, if you're not a gator, then you are gator bait. What's wrong with that? Let me think about what's wrong with that statement. If you're not a gator, you're a gator bait. That means that if you're not with us, with the Florida Gators, then we're going to eat you up, right? Yeah, so what's wrong with that, right? Here's what's wrong with it. Apparently, during the late 1800s, early 1900s, what they were doing, they were taking little black babies, infants, toddlers, children, and actually using them for bait for alligators. I said, what? Are you serious? Hold up, what? And the reality is that they used to, for accessories. They were hunting gators for accessories. Alligator boots, alligator shoes, alligator belts, alligator this, alligator straps, alligator bags, alligator luggage, alligator. It's a great commodity. That's what it is. Alligator. And they were using little black children for that. I'm like, hold up. Oh, that's why they don't want to use the term, why the school banned the use of the term. The bans is banned. B-A-N, banned. It's a ban on it. Bans can't go, they can't scream out, gator bait, gator bait. None of the activities that they have, the school cannot sponsor anything. Any of the clubs cannot sponsor anything where they say gator bait. Why? And I was thinking, well, hold up. Now I could see why. It's the stigma that goes along with it. It's the stigma that goes along with it. As harmless as it means for me or somebody else to say that, right? Not knowing the history as a organization, a professional organization, for example, the Washington Commanders that who's that great one of the goats, the basketball goats, Magic Irving Johnson, or Irving Magic Johnson, is now a co-owner of. Remember what it used to be called? The Redskins. It used to be called the Commanders. The Washington Commanders used to be called the Washington Redskins. I think they won one championship under with Doug Williams. So that team changed its name because of the racist connotation that went along with Redskin. So now they're called the Commanders. You see how it goes? So now this term, Gator bait, is banned from being used by the administration, banned it from being used by organizations. The band, B-A-N-D, cannot use the term Gator bait in their chants or cheers. Somebody will use it. Of course they're going to use it. But it is prohibited and does not have the support and prohibited by the university itself, by the school itself, because of the negative connotation. That's African American history. You see where we're going right here? How I keep coming back to African American history? Is that derogatory? Nah, I don't want my children to learn about the bad things that his ancestors did. Well, if you shelter them from the past, then it's highly likely that they will repeat it in the future. Most of the issues throughout this nation with major levels of animosity due to racism, hatred towards other individuals, because racism, being a racist by definition is somebody, the original connotation for it was somebody who believes in their race, who put no other race before their own. But now it has taken on a different level of somebody who hates other races. That's what racist has become. Not just somebody who puts no other race. And I totally respect that and I acknowledge that. But we got to put this in perspective. That's how we go. That's how it's become now. Right? So again, that term, Gator bait, prohibited, ban on it by the school itself. Does that jive? Is this too much? But again, the elitists, conservatives, and I'm going to repeat this, I said it in my last show. If you are not rich and white, calling yourself a conservative, not really accurate. Not really accurate. You're not a conservative. Rich, wealthy, long, strong money, conservative. You might work for them. You got to work your way in there. And I brought up an example of former President Donald Trump. He's not a conservative by no means. He's a preservative. He's about himself. He's about himself. He doesn't care about you. He don't care about nobody else. But he's not a conservative at all. Okay? He's not even acknowledged by as conservative by conservatives. Why? But unlike his father, his father earned his grandfather and father earned their way into that clique, that room, that space at the table, into the club of being a true conservative. You might be black, or Clarence Thomas might think he's a conservative. Clarence, yeah, not Justice Thomas, you are not a conservative. All you individuals running around calling I'm a conservative. You may be a Republican. I give you that. But you're not a conservative because, again, African American history tells us that there were two branches of the Democratic Party. One was you heard about it, and I said this at my last show, one was the conservative in the South, the liberals in the North, the Liberal Democratic Party and the Conservative Democrats that were in that was for slavery and all that stuff. The wokeness from the North, the people who were with the abolishing slavery, woke. Those who want to keep slavery, conservative. That's why Republicans and Democrats from the North got together. This is African American history. This is African American history. It's American history, African American history. You can't. For those who want to tie and separate it, like, oh no, this is African, this is black folk. Oh no, this is white folk. No. This is a combination of the two. African American history. Are you aware that African American history, most of the townships, African Americans in the South had their own township, their own political representatives, and here's the kicker. They were Republican. Here's another kicker. That the reason why they joined the Republican Party was because black folk, African American, former slaves, were not allowed to join the Southern Democratic Party. That is why they joined the Republican Party. That is why the strongest base in the Republican Party are African American. But you're not conservative. You're not conservatives. Why? Because conservatives are the ones that wanted the race baiting, the ones who wanted the slaves. They want to put all this off the guy who convinced Eli Whitney, the guy who invented the cotton gin. Oh no, the reason why slavery kicked in the way it kicked in was because Eli Whitney created the cotton gin, so they needed more people to pick the cotton and so that we can make cotton, because now cotton is the biggest commodity. Cotton is the biggest commodity, right? Clothes, this, that, cotton this, cotton that, cotton this, right? So they want to blame it on the cotton gin. No, it's because people were evil at heart. They had no compassion. They hated. They had hatred in their heart. And back to what I was saying with the townships in the beginning of the Republican Party, why the Republican Party became so big was because of African American, which I don't see in this curriculum. I got to go through this curriculum. I'm going to peruse everything. I want to see the chapters that says about the Republican Party. I want to see the part about the black townships, because believe it or not, at one time, black and white folk were together, and black folk were winning elections in these rural areas. The rural and the suburb, well, mostly the rural areas, they were winning elections because black and white folk was together. Not wealthy white folk in the South, no. But what would be considered lower income white folk, lower middle class white folk. The only reason why, the main reason why all this stuff was put it into, and you see the white nationalism, was because, again, the leaders, conservatives, figured out, hold up, we're not going to win just us. We got to bring our lower class white folk along. We got to guide them along with us. So what did they do? They started a division between, black and white. Make the poorest white man think he's better than the most successful black man. Division. Blame black folk for African Americans for their situation, for them not being wealthier. Set up that class structure. That's African American history. It's African American history. I cannot say this enough or stress it enough. I will always stress it. That's African American history. Think about that. Think about that. Okay? Let's talk about what we talked about, the curriculum, right? We talk a little bit about it. Things that I didn't see in there. I perused it, and the structure of it looks really good, right? You know, the framework looked really good. But, you know, I got to peruse it more to see what's inside that framework, okay? I got to see what's inside that. That being said, let's talk about, I was going to talk about Bidenomics, because I touched on that, right? Biden versus DeSantis nomics, right? What's Bidenomics? Bidenomics is the thing that got the country going now, right? Bidenomics is the economic, whatever the economic condition of America now as a whole, right? Well, there's some things you've already heard about. Now I guess around 14 million jobs created. Oh, no, that's because of post-COVID. Stop it. 14 million jobs, plus by the end of this year, it'll be 15 million jobs, the way they added on to it. See, this is what the elitist conservatives want you to think. These elitist conservatives want you to think, right? You, as a newly employed, former unemployed, gainfully unemployed, but now is gainfully employed, okay, you wasn't making money, now you're making the money. Can you still afford everything you want? No, but you could afford more than what you were able to do, right? That's Bidenomics. Bidenomics, right? That's just it. Inflation last year, maybe not even a full year ago, was at its all-time high at 6.25%, right? 6.25% inflation. That's an all-time high. I would think it would have been higher than that, like during the Great Depression. But then again, the dollar was a little stronger, like a lot stronger. When I say a little bit, I mean like like 10 times stronger than what it is today. And so inflation really wasn't, they didn't really talk about inflation, I guess, because I never heard anything matching inflation. Just, what do you call that thing? What's that thing? National debt. That's what they were talking about. Okay. Now, back to what I was saying. I said that to say this. Inflation, again, was at 6.25%, around 6.25%, the highest it ever been since they've been keeping that record. Now it's at 3% nationwide. 3%. That's what it averages out to, right? That's 49 states, right? There's 50 states. We're the 50th state, right? In the state of Florida, inflation is still at its high. Why is that? They come up with this reason, that reason, this reason, that reason, But that's Bidenomics out there. This is DeSantis nomics. When they talk about, when you hear him mention DeSantis, when you hear the governor of this state mention Bidenomics, well, ask him about DeSantis nomics. The rest of the country is doing good. It's flourishing. It's starting to flourish even more. The national, what's that? The purchasing index. Well, they got something for everything, right? People buy more in the rest of the nation. Home ownership is starting to pick up a little bit in the rest of the nation. There are great things that's being picked up. The GDP, the gross national product, the thing that they measure, our success or growth. That's strong. We have recovered. We have recovered better than any other nation on the planet right here, America, recovered from COVID, all that stuff. Number one, America. That's crazy, right? Because under the former administration, COVID, we were one of the worst countries in the world. The worst, right? They want to bring up COVID, I'm bringing up COVID. So now, let's continue with this Bidenomics. As I said before, Florida's at like nearly 3 times the national average, no, 3 times the national average for homeowners insurance. 2.5 to 3 times that of inflation. Is this a good thing? You telling me that's a good thing? They want to talk about, oh, listen to that, listen to that. But listen to that. Listen, find out what's going on here. Look at what's going on here. They want to talk about freedom. Freedom, okay, they want to talk about freedom. And I brought this up before. They want to talk about freedom, but their goal, these elitist conservatives' goal is to make you think you're getting something good, when in fact, when it comes to freedom, they're taking your freedoms away. I brought this up before. What's this organization called? The Disney Corporation, the Disney. Remember that? They are entitled to free speech. But as soon as they said something the governor didn't like, what did the governor do? He rained on him. He brought the force of the Florida legislature, the entire government, the Florida state government onto Disney. Are you aware that Disney, and I brought this up before, is the largest single location, right? Location employer in the state, maybe even in the nation? They employ over 75,000 people right there in the Disney area. No, not the Disney area, in Disney. That land, those acres, that comes under the territory or control of the Disney Corporation. Over 75,000 employees. They generate another 450,000 jobs in the state of Florida. What's the number on that? 525,000 jobs because of Disney? Let me ask you something. How many jobs do the Florida state legislature, provide or generate? Got an answer to that? How many jobs do the governor? How many people do the governor employ? How many jobs do he generate? Here's the thing. How long has Disney been there? 50 years? How long has this governor been here? And these members of the Florida legislature been here? Maybe 6 at max. 8, going on 8 years, which means that they are timed out. If they are a senator, then 12, and they're timing out. But they're gone. But once they're gone, the damage is still left. The damage is still left. They've taken away corporations, they've taken away people, individuals' rights to express their freedom of speech. They're taking away the right for families to dictate or control if they want to have an unwanted pregnancy or not. They've taken away that right. Oh, no, I'm sorry, my bad. They said 6 weeks. But you remember right before the election? Oh, I gave them 16 weeks. That's what the governor said. Oh, I gave them 16 weeks. But as soon as the election was over, they reduced it 10 weeks. Most women, females, do not know they're pregnant within that 6-week time period. But they've taken that away from your children, from you, your wife, your spouse, and that's your freedom. Freedom. That's a freedom that they took away. What next? Freedom of religion, freedom of expression. Oh, we don't want people having trans parties. Well, that's freedom of expression. That's protected by the Constitution, right? We don't want these books read in the schools. That's educational growth, intellectual capacity to grow, right? Vicariously experiencing things that you cannot go and experience otherwise. That's something, that's a freedom that they're taking away from you. Bidenomics, DeSantis. Bidenomics says, go here, I'm going to support you. I'm going to support you. The lower income, the middle income, lower income, I'm going to put money in your pockets. DeSantis got a problem with that. Every last conservative Republican, these rhinos have a problem with that. Wow. And here's the crazy thing. People still support them. This is crazy. It's crazy, but I understand. I understand why you support them. Because they don't go for your intellectual. No, they dumb you down with a war on wokeness, and then they go after your emotional IQ, your emotional intellect, because your emotion spurs on your actions, right? Emotion spurs on your actions. That's what they do. Okay, so let's keep going with this. Bidenomics. That's why you have the lowest, some of the lowest income, the lowest unemployment rates in our nation history under Bidenomics. That's why Florida, I haven't even really got into that, but Florida, every time you turn around, he's doing something, this governor's doing something where somebody's like, yo, I don't want nothing to do with this. And they want to blame you for being lazy, but it's not you being lazy. It's them being crazy. That's them being desensitive toward you. That's what it is, insensitive. That's them, it's not you. It's this elitist, conservative leadership that we have here. They want to talk about Social Security. Hold up. The former governor, and now the U.S. Senator, right? We're still talking Bidenomics and DeSantisnomics. The former governor and U.S. Senator, Rick Scott, wants to phase out Social Security. How many millions and millions and millions of Americans need Social Security? Oh, not for now. We're talking about in the future. Let me tell you something. For those who are 62 and have to wait for 67 to get your full retirement benefits, it sucked, don't it? Right? It sucked, right? You remember in 1983? How many of y'all can remember 1983? I can. I remember when they was first talking about changing the age for Social Security from 65 to 67. I remember that under Ronald Reagan. Yeah, the reason why you have to wait till you're 67 and 70 to get your full benefits is because of Ronald Reagan. You know what Ronald Reagan was? Ronald Reagan was the first conservative president, Republican president since before FDR. Yeah, before FDR. That's who Ronald Reagan was. Eisenhower was not a conservative. Eisenhower was a what do you call that guy? A moderate. That guy after him, the next president after him, Richard Nixon, he wasn't a conservative. He was a what? Oh yeah, he was a moderate. And what was the guy that took over from Richard Nixon after he resigned under impeachment, right? To avoid impeachment. Gerald Ford. He was a moderate. What's the difference between a moderate, a Republican, and a conservative, a Republican in name only? Well, moderates are more fiscal responsible. See, Ron DeSantis goes into that category of a conservative, want to be conservative, a conservative tool. That's what he is. Think about that. Rick Scott goes in that same category. Only Rick Scott is wealthy. So yeah, they'll bring him right in. Yeah, you worth $200 million? Come on down. What's the guy, Vern Buchanan? Vern Buchanan? Worth over $150 million. Congressman. Come on, Vern. Come on, Vern. Ron DeSantis, dude, you ain't worth enough money to be a conservative, right? But like I was saying, moderates. What do conservatives bring? Ron DeSantis will continue what conservatives brought to this nation, what these Republicans in name only brought to this nation. Are you aware that the Civil War, not Civil War, I said the Civil War, wow. Oh, national debt around the Civil War, I think was like $25 million. Picture that, 25. National debt nowadays, $28 trillion, right? Okay. At the height, coming off the height of World War II, the national debt was $3 trillion, it was $3.1 trillion. Yeah, what was it, 1946 or something like that? In Eisenhower's, not Eisenhower, FDR's second term, it started to come down. Who was that? His vice president was Samuel, right? I think. I got to work on my history, American history, presidents. After that, I believe that. After that was Eisenhower. So from FDR, $3.1 trillion, to Eisenhower, it dropped down to $2.5 trillion. Yeah. From that Democratic president, through one-term presidents to Eisenhower, it was $2.5 trillion. From Eisenhower through Kennedy, right? Kennedy Johnson, Nixon Ford, it was around $2.5 trillion. To Jimmy Carter, it was still around $2.5 trillion. Then Ronald Reagan took over, the first conservative since before FDR, right? The first conservative in 35 years took over. You know what happened with the national debt? The national debt began to climb. Ronald Reagan took it from $2.5 trillion to over nearly $4 trillion. Then George Herbert Walker Bush came in and added another $800 billion to it. Then George W. Bush came in and added Bill Clinton came in and it started to level out. The national debt started to level out and it was being paid. Then George W. Bush came in and blew it out the water. He blew his father out the water. His father blew Ronald Reagan out the water. Then he blew his father out the water, right? So that being the case, what are we looking at now? Barack Obama came in, had to clean up the mess from George W. Bush. Then you said, okay, let's trust Donald Trump. He came in, and you know what he did? He added $7 trillion to the national debt. $7 trillion. And over, 13 million people lost their jobs. He's the only president, Donald Trump is the only president that has a negative job growth. He's literally the only president in U.S. history that has a negative job growth. So now here we are, Bidenomics, right? We got Bidenomics, and now we have also Ron DeSantis-nomics. DeSantis is talking about taking you to follow the same blueprint that the past few Republican, conservative presidents, those elitist presidents, followed, that got us at 28, that started us on this path to grow to 28 trillion $28 trillion plus of national debt. Ron DeSantis want to do that. How we know he suck at it? He would be good. No, he would be good at adding more to that. How do we know? Because he's doing it here in Florida. It's just that nobody want to say anything about it. The local media want to keep it hush hush. He's on a tour while Florida is starting to crash. He's touring the country for a president running as a president throughout the country. That is absolutely crazy. That's DeSantis nomics. He don't care. The only thing he want to see is he's become governor, 2-time governor, make it look good, right? Think about that. Is it good for you? Bidenomics, DeSantisnomics. Look at all the things. All the things that passed under Biden and the Democrats, and all the things that's happening now under Biden Republicans. That's all I gotta. That's some of what I have to say. It's not all, because I want to wrap that up right now, but I want you to think about that. Florida, again, homeowners insurance. What was his response to homeowners insurance? 2 crazy responses. First, Citizens is insolvent. What does that mean? It's broke. It's not going to be able to pay all the claims, right? That was like a quick. He talked more about trans. He talked more about CRT. He talks more about woke than the largest insurer in the state of Florida being solvent, being able to pay all his debts. Under Ron DeSantis, how many other insurance companies have left the state? Okay, that's the one statement. Oh, it's insolvent. And you know it's the truth because he was like, it's insolvent. No bobbling, none of this stuff, right? None of this stuff. It's insolvent. Next thing he said, okay, well, if we're lucky, we won't get any bad storms. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. The man literally said that hopefully we won't get any bad storms. So everybody out there with insurance right now, you better hope we don't get a bad storm because you probably not going to get paid. You probably not going to get any money from these companies because it was a bad storm. See, that's DeSantis-nomics. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not even going to talk about the part where he was telling undocumented workers, those laws against undocumented workers, no, and that everything that shut down the construction industry. I'm not going to mention that. That's a whole different thing. But as they continue to complain about people not wanting to work when there's hiring signs all over, right there, you can go just about everywhere now and see, we want to hire you. But why is that? Why is that? Those are stats that people don't want to see. Those are things that the media don't want to cover. These are things that we cover right here, that I cover right here. The reason why I cover this is because the local media will not do it. They won't. They sugarcoat it, they gloss over it, blah, blah, blah. Florida is suffering. The state of Florida is suffering. Why? Because a lot of you keep supporting this. Why would you support congressional people who want to terminate Social Security when you've invested so much in Social Security? You know why Social Security is an entitlement? Because it's a contractual agreement between you and between us and our nation. Anybody who plays in Social Security. So you are entitled to your money back. You are entitled to your money back. That's a fact. So yeah, that's an entitlement that you, Medicare, that you paid into. All right? And with that being said, I just want to say again, I be Keith. This is the B roll, all right? Or the Keith show, as some people may call it. I want to thank everybody who continually helping me. I couldn't get this show out. Hopefully it'll get better. And this is TBCN, Tampa Bay Community Network, out in Tampa Bay, Florida. You know, Tampa, the great city of Tampa. Y'all be good. So I don't know how much longer I got. How much longer I got? I got 20 seconds. Hey, let's sing a song. I'm going to think of a song. I had a string on my shoe. I'm going to think of a song, and we're going to sing it. Okay? 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 I'm thinking of a song. You ready? We're going to sing the song. Ready? What song am I going to sing?